Welcome to emoLab's Talk Series podcast, where we explore how technology shapes our lives. From digital consumers to gig workers and service robots, we delve into the world of algorithms, AI, and automation, examining how they transform our emotions, behaviors, and businesses. In each episode, we bring you thought-provoking conversations on the impacts of algorithmic capitalism and how to navigate a future increasingly dominated by machines. Join us for insights into who benefits, who's left out, and what it all means for the future. On today's episode of the emoLab Talk Series podcast, we are thrilled to feature Chris Meunier, a lecturer and co-chair of the Marketing Advisory Council at the Ted Rogers School of Management. In his role, Chris collaborates with faculty and industry leaders to shape the future of marketing education, ensuring that curricula stay aligned with the evolving needs of the industry and emerging trends. In addition to his academic work, Chris serves as a fractional CMO at Atria Development Corporation, where he is leading the company's digital transformation efforts. He has been instrumental in restructuring Atria's marketing team and developing a scalable, high-impact marketing strategy to fuel growth. Chris also holds the position of Vice President at BreezeMax Web Online Media Solutions.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for having me. Today I'm really excited to present this to you. It's actually the first time I presented it. Sorry. So there might be a few little glitches here and there, but there's a lot of information in here, and your questions at the end will be great. Also, your feedback on anything I can do to make it better or things you would like to see would be awesome. Or if there's things that you're doing and I didn't include in here, I would love that. So I'll slide on over to a little bit about the agenda really quickly. So these are just kind of like buzzwords, but we're gonna go from buzzword to toolbox, making AI practical. We'll talk about prompts and stuff like that. We'll get into a little bit more advanced patterns, and then we'll actually look at light automations, building your own custom GPTs, and I'll even show you a 7-agent system that I currently use right now. That I've developed all of them myself, and it's pretty easy to do it once you get the hang of it. But yeah, I'm really excited to share all this stuff with you. And yeah, here we go. So a little bit about me. Um, I actually went to Ted Rogers School of Management. I've taken this course, and I love the university. It's great. I graduated, I guess, 2015 or 14. And since then, I've had quite an interesting career. I've worked in sales, and I was the VP of Sales and Marketing, which is still kind of a function of mine at BreezeMax Web. So it's a national digital marketing agency that focuses on SMB, small, medium businesses. I started there as a media consultant, knocking on doors, trying to book meetings to give an assessment for digital marketing for the 40 products and services that we had. And I climbed my way up to director of performance and then VP of sales. And prior to COVID, I had over 40 media consultants and directors selling across the country for me. And yeah, so now I've opened my own strategic agency, Think Circle, and yeah, I lecture, lecture at Ted Rogers School of Management. This is my lecture number 16. This semester, I did 5 lectures in 3 sections for Marketing 802 so far this semester. And hopefully Irfan or the marketing department will continue having me back, and some of you will be able to see me lecture in person. I love being animated and walking around and breaking up into sessions and coming over and looking at the group screens and stuff like that. And for AI, I've really just been running as fast and as hard as I can with it. Um, my first training in it really was from MIT Sloan School of Business. I did an executive ed certification for AI implication for business. And in there was a study, and back then they asked professionals how many of them use Gen AI, and about 50% use it on a daily basis across the board. When they went into marketing, it was around 90%. So, for me, I've really tried to adapt this into every workflow I can. I have 7 generative AI specializations from Vanderbilt. I have thousands of hours of plugging away and figuring things out. And now I'm going to open up some of it to you. So yeah, let's go. Okay, so this is section one of two. I don't want to get technical and bogged down and talking about, all of these crazy terms, but I just want to go over a few terms with you. So obviously, ChatGPT, it's a large language model. It's trained to respond with human-like text. You all know that. It's really good at mimicking stuff. So remember that because often giving examples is good, and we'll talk more about that later. And it does have what's called training data. I'm sure you all know that. And the training data has a cutoff. Um, but now there's something called RAG, and the platform it can go and it can actually go to URLs, which I'm sure you know of. So if you point it to certain URLs, you're allowing it to update its data, or if you give it specific data. So even though it's training data for the model, so it's a cutoff time, you can always give it more. It basically operates on tokens, which are small chunks of text, and that's how the information is passed back and forth. And it really does matter if you care about cost. So if you're just on a normal subscription or you have a plus, that's fine, or pro. But once you start getting enterprise level, or well, if you don't want to get timed out, you should be aware of it. But once you start getting enterprise level, there are costs to have the API hooked up. And I do have one hooked up, and I don't spend a lot on it, but I have it for some Zapier integrations, which we'll talk about. And then the context window, it's important. It only has a certain amount of memory. Uh, so a certain, like it can hold a certain amount of tokens. So you might find as your chat gets really long, it starts forgetting things or it's not using it. And that's basically why, because it's just kind of getting bogged down. So there's a few terms. Now, how it actually works, the main things are prompting. So prompting is really the most essential skill. And I'm sure all of you prompt ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or Grok or whatever you're using all the time. And I'm sure some of you do it really quickly at times, and at other times you're more thorough. And you will start to you obviously understand that what you put into your prompt is what you're going to get out of it, and also data. So, it's really the core fundamental, and we're going to be talking about a lot of different prompts. Prompt patterns are repeatable templates for prompting. You can use them to get faster, more consistent, and higher quality results. A lot of what I'm going to talk about is how to figure out to get a certain outcome that you wanted. And then when you get that certain outcome, how you can repeat that outcome later on by saving that prompt that got you there. It's really important to do that. I mentioned RAG earlier, so retrieval augmented generation. So when ChatGPT uses external sources like uploading docs or browsing tools to generate more accurate or current responses. And then there's custom GPTs. So I'm sure all of you have built some. Maybe some of you haven't, but it's just that little section where you can build your own GPT. And I'm going to show you how I build them myself. And I actually have a custom GPT that's meant to help me build custom GPTs to give me good instructions. And I have a demo of that I'll show. Okay, so I'm going to really just talk a little bit about the Achieve framework. And what the Achieve framework is basically, um, it's a framework that kind of guides how ChatGPT or an LLM should be used. And it's really based on augmenting intelligence, not replacing intelligence, not replacing humans, not just dumping something into it and expecting it's going to give you what you want. So you want to augment, don't automate. Use AI to expand your thinking, not replace it. You can think more critically, you can get deeper, you can get faster, you can get alternative perspectives, differing opinions. I like to tell a lot of people that it's the best thing ever for me because I ask so many questions and I'm a very talkative person. I used to bombard all my coworkers and colleagues, and now I can kind of bombard this. So, curate inputs. Better prompts start with better raw material. Quality in equals quality out. Human in the loop. So this is a term I'm sure you've all heard before. But stay involved for judgment, filtering, and final decisions. Like that final output, when you take it and put it somewhere, if there's something wrong with that output, it's yours. It's not the LLM's fault. It's not ChatGPT's. Iterate often. So don't expect for perfection on the first try. Prompting is a creative work. It takes time to get what you want. And that's why it's important to realize when you've done something and you've gotten somewhere, how to save that for later. Explain their goals, right? So think of your AI as your ChatGPT, and if you have your own agents or the chat, think about it as an assistant. Think of it, if you hired an assistant to help you with something, would you just tell them to do something, or would you tell them and show them how to do something, right? And then would you tell them and show them how to do it and link that with goals? It's very important to look at your AI as almost a human and how you would explain to them to do something and set them up for success. Vary the role. So I love act as. Act as really helps. Act as a digital marketing expert. Act as a content critic. Act as blah blah blah. And you can use that in chat while you're in the middle of something and start getting alternative answers. And then extract value. Always ask, what's the business outcome for this prompt? If it's business related, some people use it for personal. Yeah, so that's the Achieve framework. And I would usually ask a question, but we're keeping it to see if there's questions, but we're keeping it to the end. So now we're going to go to some of these prompts. And this is just an example of the prompts that we have coming up next. And sorry, I'm just having a little bit of trouble with my speaker notes. I'm not sure why I can't scroll on them, but it's okay. So this next section is all about prompting, and not just any prompting, but the building blocks that help get consistent, high quality prompts. Um, there are a few prompt types that come up over and over again in professional use. I've broken them down into five. So instructions, these are direct commands. They're super useful when you know exactly what you want and you just need to get it done quickly. Examples, this is how you show, not just tell. So you're modeling what good looks like, and ChatGPT will pick up on your tone, logic, style, and so on. And think of like Excel, screenshots, PDFs, URLs, and text also if you want to give it some extra info. And then there's few shot, which is you basically give it two or three inputs and you ask it to continue. So you're basically showing it a few things, and then you're asking it to go on and do it on its own. And then there's role prompting. We talked about that earlier. So act as. And I really love role prompting. And most of my custom GPTs I build in the instructions, I have an act as statement at the top. And then output format prompt is really useful because you can tell it exactly how you want your outputs or your format, your outputs to be formatted. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you want a table, right? So you can say, hey, when you give me this data, put it as this. And then you can put like the pound symbol, name, pound symbol, date, pound symbol, so on. And it will understand that that's the exact output you're looking for in a table. Or you can tell it, I don't want any emojis. I want bullets. I want, max 2 to 3 sentences per paragraph. And I want a bullet in between them, whatever it is. But you can set that output format prompt. Okay, so now we're going to go in and actually take a little bit more of a look here. So the instructions versus examples, just to write at home. Instructions, write a 3 sentence product description for a new skincare brand. Okay, that's it. It was very quick prompt. You told it what you wanted. You're probably going to have to do some iterative approach later. Maybe it's going to ask you some questions, but that's a very quick instruction. Examples. So a prompt that shows the model how to respond by giving. Use these samples to write one for a new brand in a similar tone. So let's say you have a whole bunch of good social content posts, you want more, you just give it those ones, tell it those are the examples, and tell it to give you some more and see what it does. All right, so that's instructions versus examples when it comes to prompts. Okay, so few shot, this is where we're going to take a shot into going into the videos I've made. So I've tried screen recording because I don't want to have to leave the presentation and go to my ChatGPT interface each time. So I've tried to time these videos. I hope they work properly. And let's see. So in here, this is my input. Okay. So this is a few shot prompt. Input. Here are some examples of product descriptions and corresponding social media captions. Okay, I just gave it to it. Let's see what it does. I should scroll down soon. There we go. So I gotta be careful on how I click on this, or it's gonna kick me to the next slide. But okay. So now, got it. Let's complete that example to match the tone, structure, and style shown above. So it's ready to go. Okay, there, it gave me one. Okay. Let me know if you'd like a few alternative versions to compare tone, or if you want to run another live example of recording. So hint, I use ChatGPT to make some of these examples for you. And so it's actually, it knows what we're doing in here. Okay, well, I'm gonna go back here. Let's see what my last prompt was. Okay. Oh, sorry. It's so hard here. And then we might be able to catch it this time. Okay, input. I like what you did, but want five more options from differing approaches. Okay, so now it's giving me five more from differing approaches. Okay, so I gave it a few shots. That was a few shot prompt. It picked it up well, but now I'm using alternative approaches, which is another prompt pattern. Okay, and then that's it for this one. So just to summarize, the few shot prompt was here's some examples. Now it's going to follow and it's going to give you output, recognizing those examples. And then I added in an alternative approach. It did a pretty good job. Obviously, things that have to be edited and the human needs to be in the loop, but there it is. So now role prompting. Okay. I love role prompting. So whatever you want to be, act as a social media strategist, select three posts for an eco-friendly shampoo brand. Okay. Why it's useful, sets tone and task expectations, encourages expertise and point of view, and useful for marketing and consulting. An instruction-based prompt is sorry, yeah, I was actually a role prompt is directly like telling it who it is, and from that, it's able to basically figure out what you want. So let's go see here. Okay, so I'll pause it quickly. Role, social media strategist. Here are three posts for promoting a new eco-friendly shampoo brand aligned with Gen Z values. So, okay. So let's see what it does here. I might have to fast forward a bit. Uh, okay, so it gave us a few. Okay. So now it's asking for alternative variations in different brands. And I said, okay, sorry about my spelling. Get alternative versions, but one for each of the following: Boomers, Gen X, and Gen Y, right? Because I had it due for Gen Z, but now I want some variations. So, and it's actually, remember, I used it to make the presentation. So it says, perfect. Here are three alternative versions of the role prompted output, each tailored for. So it's actually knows that we're making this presentation for you right now too. Okay. So it's showing its new role prompt. Okay. Sometimes I use instructions and I say, confirm what you're going to do before you do it. Right. Because I want to prevent it from doing those run ons where you ask it something and it just takes off. It's like a sprinter, but it turns into a sprinter that's doing a marathon. And next thing you know, you're trying to stop it. And that actually eats away at your limits and stuff like that too. So right here, it's doing a couple things I like and some that I really dislike, but it's summarizing what it's going to do. Perfect. It's using emojis and some special symbols, which like I'm they're like whack-a-mole for me. I'm always trying to make it stop doing those. I have them in instructions, I have it here, and I don't know what it is, but even when I have it in instructions, eventually in a chat, it will start doing them. And I'll say, hey, can you read your instructions and tell me what's in there about emojis and special symbols? And then it will say, you know what? Yes, I shouldn't have been using them. So, anyways, let's see what happens now with the role prompt. Okay. So as you come down, it's acting as a social media strategist. We've adjusted it to go after boomers. So there's the boomers, there's the Gen X, there's the Gen Y. Okay. It looks like it did exactly what I wanted. Um, and yeah, there we go. Right. So it took me longer to explain, obviously, than I did for this to make it. But that's some role prompting examples. And, I encourage you to go out there and ask it to act as. Just try act as. If you haven't tried act as, it's a very powerful prompt. Okay. Output format. So with output format, It's a prompt that tells ChatGPT how to structure the responses. Bullets, lists, email, table, etc. Example prompt. Critique my AI talk. Use bullets, comments, and a short summary at the end. Okay. So let's see. And hint, this is the AI talk I told it to critique. So, okay. I'm still talking to it. I said input. Let's do something other than social as an example for this. Act like a critic and critique my proposed outline for a talk on AI in marketing at TRSM, the marketing management students. You're going to notice a few different things here. Now, like you see, I'm putting input, but now I'm actually breaking lines. Sometimes I put these in, especially if I have longer instructions. These are instructions, but it's a type of font or it's a type of prompt. But also sometimes when I make the instructions in the back end, I'll use these lines to divide between sections so it can clearly understand. Now, format. So remember, yeah, the role prompt, I just asked it to act like. Now the output format as follows. Okay, so I want it with plain text with bullets, 1 to 2 sentence critiques if you have under the critique section, a final summary of your feedback in a short paragraph, an email for RAM to review the outline and your critiques so I can get human feedback. All right, so this is everything I'm telling it, one shot. Let's see how it does. And this is the info. So this is the rough framework of this presentation. Okay, so I gave it all to it. It's in there. You're getting a hint that some of the things are coming ahead if you're looking at the screen. And Okay, so great input. This is a perfect example to showcase output formatting. Okay, so sorry, this is us. It's talking about this presentation now, but let's see here. Okay, critique. So there's my introduction. Here's it's 2 bullets. Okay, and I said use 2 to 3. I don't know if I said 3, but there's 3 bullets here. All right, and here's 3 bullets here. Here's 3 bullets here. Menu of actions could benefit from a visual demo or side-by-side outputs. I don't know if I actually took that recommendation, but maybe need escape valve prompting. So, I do have an explanation for that. I don't actually know if I read these now that I think about it. Anyways, long story short, it's doing what it's supposed to do. And there's my final summary. Okay, the output that I wanted, if everyone remembers. And then I asked it for something else, and I would ask the class, but we're just doing one way here right now. So there's the sample email to RAM. Okay, so with a little bit of time, just thinking of the output you want, you can really kind of try and hammer out your conversation, get quicker, uh, get to the end result you're looking for faster. So that's the output format prompt. Okay. So we're going to go to the advanced prompting techniques. Okay. So now that we've covered the basics of prompting, we're going to look at some more advanced techniques. These go beyond just giving instructions. They help you think strategically about how to guide and control ChatGPT's behavior. So, in context learning and iterative refinement, this is about improving your output while you're working. You give a draft, you get feedback, refine step by step without restarting. It's ideal for copywriting, campaign planning, anything that benefits from layered input. Okay. And then we have the writing persona pattern. So basically, a prompt that sets a defined style or tone before writing, like creating a custom voice. Write as if you're a minimalist design expert explaining why less is more. So it's kind of similar to the act as, but it's a little different. But you're setting that voice. And then we have menu actions prompting. Menu actions prompting is pretty cool. So to give you the quick overview, let's say you have a whole bunch of things to do for one project and it's a whole list. You can basically say, hey, I have all these things I have to do for this project. I don't even know where to start, but I got to tackle it. And you give it a bullet list, and it's basically going to decide what it wants to work on. piece by piece. So that's the menu actions prompting. And then escape valve prompting. So escape valve prompting is very important. You're basically giving it a fallback. So these LLMs, especially ChatGPT, they're often really eager to give you the answer to help you. Um, and that's often how hallucinations happen. So we'll look at a little bit about how we can prevent the hallucinations or overconfidence errors, add safety to critical or data sensitive prompts, and build trust in responses. I actually have a pretty good prompt or a pretty good example for this one coming up. I'm excited to show you. But it's unfortunate when you see like, oh, I put this in the ChatGPT and this is what it said, or I put this in the Gemini and look at its silly output. Well, it's really about the input. It's not meant to be like a catch-all, just solve every problem in the world. It's meant to be, like we talked about before, an extension of oneself, an extension of one's capabilities, one's intelligence. And the operator has to operate it. I always like to say, it's like Formula One cars. You can put everyone in a Formula One race car, but they're not all going to drive it the same. Some people are going to drive it right into a wall. Some people are going to win, right? So that's kind of like ChatGPT and LLMs. So we're going to talk about the in-context learning and iterative refinement. And yeah, we'll go right into this video and see how it does. Okay, action. This is a rough email. Can you rewrite it to sound more polished and persuasive? Target, marketing agency. Goal, get them to book a demo. Okay. So halfway through, I stopped using the chat that I'm showing you right now because I got too bogged down and I actually didn't know what I was doing anymore. But this one still knows that we're making basically screenshots or screen recordings for this presentation. Okay, so here's its first one. I gave it some info. Oops, I was afraid that was going to happen. Okay, sorry. So here's the first reply. Okay, so we'll just pause it here. And it's okay, right? It's not a bad email. It's a great starting place, right? And that's what iterative refinement is. So it's a good starting place. So let's see. So let me know when you're ready to prompt the iteration step. Shorter, more urgency, or you want to adjust the version. Feedback, I feel it can be a bit longer and maybe use some bullets, right? So now I didn't tell it before how I would like the output format, right? But now I'm giving it some iterative feedback. So let's see. Okay, great. Now we'll model on context learning by building your feedback without restarting conversation, blah, blah, blah. And I love this part. It's actually funny. I gave it a prompt, but it's like, because it knows we're building this for you and for this lecture, it's giving me back my prompt. And this isn't like, it's not confirming what it's going to do next. It's actually telling me what my prompt could have been. So instead of what I said, it's wordier. It likes conversation. So it's saying that's a solid start. Can you make it a bit longer and add a few bullet points to highlight key benefits? Keep the goal the same. Get a marketing agency to book a demo. All right. So you can almost see here, it's thinking like I would like more instruction and more iterative refinement than I even gave it in my prompt. That said, what I gave it in my prompt was fast, and I'm using it because I want speed often. So I didn't need to type this long, and it still understood what I told it because it was able to give me back this. Okay. So now, as we come down, we're seeing the refined response and we're seeing some bullets. So this is much better than the first one. I like it. As a VP of sales, a business person, I scan things. I see bullets. I love bullets. I see, value proposition, points of value in these bullets. This is what I like to see. When I see emails that are like, a bunch of paragraphs and this and that, I sometimes like, I'll admit it, I don't even read them. I don't even put them in there like an AI to read them. Some of them I have to skip them. Right. So for me, I'm liking the way this is looking. Now, if we look at the context for this too, it's a cold email. So she really be like this. Okay, so let's see what I say now. So let me know when you're ready to do one more refinement, like subject line, or options, or urgency ramp up. So it's guiding me now. I said, okay, let's ramp up urgency and keep the goal the same. It's actually It's giving me my prompt to get back. So it's funny. It's like telling me how I could have said that differently. So it's getting a little snarky over here, but that's okay. Um, okay. So don't wait for Q3. Boost conversions now. Right. So now there's a sense of urgency. It put something time wise in there. Now we have a one line sentence. Like I love it. Like in one line or sorry, a one sentence exclamation and intro what this can do, and then I have some value proposition. Like I love it. It's a great email compared to where it was too, with a few little bit of feedback, a few little points of feedback. It's much stronger. And do you want to close the loop? So it's asking me for subject lines. And I said, yes, please provide me three subject lines. And interestingly, it just stopped. I don't know why, but it stopped giving me back my prompt. It's just, I think it's like, okay, sure, let's get this done. And it's gave me some three subject lines there. And yeah, it's actually using these. So I like this too. It knows I wanted like kind of value proposition. I wanted the bullets. And now it's showing that stuff too in the different subject lines. So it's doing really good. I don't see as much sense of urgency though, so it might have lost. Oh, lifts in this quarter. There you go. So it is still using a time sense of urgency, which is always very important when you're trying to sell something. Yeah, so that is the in context learning and iterative refinement. Okay, writing a persona prompt. So a prompt that gives ChatGPT a list of ways to help. Letting it choose, sorry, a persona pattern, letting it choose to complete one at a time. Okay. So, so here we go. I know I misspelled right in here. Okay. So I gave it like very, very, very limited info for this one. Um, let's see what it does. Okay. So now I'm, whoops, sorry, my bad. Yeah, so this one seems really similar to the other example, the social media one, but it is a bit different. So I'm asking it to write an e-blast or a blog story about a low waste skincare product. And I didn't really give it much info in the beginning at all. I just kind of asked it to do it. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why it keeps doing this. It's very difficult to use sometimes. Anyways, so there is the original prompt. Here's the output. Now, in this response, I said, okay, let's try this again. I did not give you enough info, but you did a good job with what you had. New input. Here's the persona part. You're writing a blog intro for a new eco-friendly skincare brand that wants to sound playful, casual, and Gen Z friendly without losing clarity. The goal is to introduce a blog post about why switching to low waste skincare matters, right? So it's a vastly different input prompt than I gave it before. The first one was just like, hey, just do this for me. It's like, okay. It did it. I didn't like it that much, but it did a pretty good job for what I had. So now it's doing a good job. It's confirming that what it's doing. Okay. And this is way better. Like the language is way better, ready to glow up your routine. It's like using words that resonate. Like it's 10 times better than it was before. Now it's like, hey, want a variation with more edge, educational tone, something shorter for social. I said, okay, this is really good. Now can you make another version, but cater it to female baby boomers? This will be used in specific magazines targeting middle to upper boomers that are active and care about their appearance and quality of the products they use. All right, I love it. It's confirming again. I might have that set in here because I do it in a lot of mine. Oh, shoot. For it to always confirm, let me just get back to where we were. Sorry about that. The Canva in video thing is not really the best to navigate with. Sorry. Okay. Okay, here we go. So now here's the boomer one, and it actually did a very good job. Like I read this and actually shared it with my partner, and she's like, "That's dead on." She's like, "That is like a product I want." And it's like her demographic. Well, actually, no, it's actually a little bit younger than boomer, but anywho, um, so. might watch this too. I shouldn't have said that. Great strategy below 2 sets of social ad copy options. So now, sorry. This is very good. I want to highlight value and key points in the social ad targeting the same groups. I use Facebook to target the boomers and IG, TikTok, YouTube, and maybe this is actually supposed to be real. I don't know what I did. To target Gen Z, right? So now I'm like, I know it's hammered kind of the Gen Z. It did pretty good. It did the boomer on its own. So now I'm just giving it a whole bunch more stuff to see how it does. And it did very good. It did a good job. And it had the proper persona. And it also even knew like be real is what I meant to say. It somehow read that. So good job for it. Okay. So that was the persona prompt. Now we are moving into menu of actions prompting. So this is the one again where you're like just overwhelmed. Let's say, hey, even next semester, you're doing, or hopefully not this semester, hopefully you're done all your assignments because I think it's the last week. But let's say next semester and you have, a group project and you have a whole bunch of things to do. They've been divided amongst all of you. And you're like, wow, I got to do all of these things. Okay. Well, as long as your list is kind of logical and clean and they're like related to the same thing, you can kind of just put that list in there and ask it for help. So let's see here. Okay, so here's a list. I'm launching a new AI-powered calendar app for freelancers and small teams. You can help in a few different ways. Choose one of the following options. Write a short landing page, draft a social post announcing the launch, list 3 possible taglines. Choose one to complete first, and then let me know if you want to try another afterward. Okay, so that's the menu of actions prompting. Okay, let's see what it does. It wants to start with the landing page. Perfect. The landing page headline. All right, there's a landing page headline. Perfect. I want to add speed to the headline. All right, so because it's supposed to help improve speed. So I'm giving it feedback. Your calendar finally smarter and faster. Plan faster, work smarter. Speed meets smarts. Okay, good. So I said option one is good because I actually like that I had calendar in it. That's why I picked option one. Option one is good. Next, please. That's it. Okay, great. Moving on to social post announcing launch. All right, so it knows the tasks that have to be done. It was given a list, and it's choosing which ones it wants to do. Okay, and it's going to get better too and here you go. Here's my last prompt. Taglines. So it was like, hey, do you want to do this or this? Taglines is one of them. I just said taglines. Just do taglines. And as it's going, it knows like speed and time or something for me. So yeah, that's the menu of actions prompting. It's really good to kind of just chew through a list. Okay, escape valve prompting. How are we doing for time here? Oh, okay. So escape valve prompting. Basically, this is one of the most underrated but powerful techniques, especially when you're asking ChatGPT to handle stats, research, or sensitive topics. Um, when you're asking an example prompt in your prompt would be, if this answer is unclear or incomplete, say, I don't have enough information to fully respond. Okay. Why is it useful? Why it's useful. Prevents hallucination or overconfident errors, adds safety to critical or data sensitive prompts, and builds trust in responses. Okay. So let's go take a look at it. And did I click the right spot? Perfect. Okay. I'm writing a report on AI in wellness tech. Can you provide a recent stat on consumer adoption of AI powered fitness apps? If you're unsure of the data, if you're unsure or the data may not be accurate, just say that and suggest where I might find more reliable info. Okay, so right off the bat, I didn't ask it to give me stats or to give me sources, which you can always ask. But it decided just to start giving me sources, which you'll see why is interesting later. So it's giving me sources. So there is that. Okay, now my next prompt. Okay, now write up the benefits of AI and wellness for tech. AI wellness for or tech for pets. Okay. But now I didn't say anything about, I didn't give it an escape valve. And this is even in the same chat. I didn't say anything about, oh, if you don't know this, don't know that. I just told it to do something. So let's go look at its output now. It's a little different. There's no more sourcing, right? The sourcing is just magically disappeared. It's gone. So, anyways, read it, whatever. I didn't actually really read it over. It's okay. But okay, so let me know if you'd like to adapt this. And then I ask it, do you have sources for your last output? And then it says, certainly, here are the sources supporting the benefits. Now, it has a bunch of sources now. So the next part's really interesting. If you're finding any of this interesting, you'll definitely find this part interesting. Okay. So my next question. Okay, did you have those sources when you originally wrote the output, or did you find them after to support your output? I saw you went online when I asked for sources. So as soon as I asked about the sources, I saw it accessed a bunch of websites. Okay, so it's like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, so it's admitting right here. It says, I did not cite specific sources. I generated content based on general knowledge, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. So to clarify, original output informed but not source cited, follow-up verified and supported using real-time sources. Well, when you write something, then you look for sources later on. It's usually like, it's everyone knows here the difference between writing based on sources and then writing things and trying to find sources that fit in there. So yeah, it's interesting too. Just to summarize, if you remember, this is the escape valve prompting. So in the very first prompt about the AI article, whatever I was writing, said I was writing, I told it if it didn't have the info, blah, 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 to let me know or ask for more info. And it went and automatically started sourcing. But then when I gave it the next prompt about writing a pet one, and I didn't have any escape valve, it didn't put any sources in. And then obviously it didn't have any sources because it just told us afterwards that it didn't have sources and I went and found them after. So you can see right there where that hallucination possibility is happening, right? It's when you're not giving it an escape valve. And that's why it's unfortunate that people sometimes take one screenshot of a chat and not show the whole thing and say, oh, look at it. It's doesn't know what it's doing. Look at its output. Right. Anyways, long story short, I did something else. So a little hot topic here. Okay, provide a write-up on how U.S. tariffs applied globally based on trade imbalance may affect the economy. Give me 5 paragraphs and use, not sue, use at least 3 sources per paragraph. At the end of the output, display your sources. Okay, so now I'm like getting a little heavy on the sourcing here, right? I want 3 sources per paragraph. Do I want 3 or I want 5? 5 paragraphs. I'm telling it to give me 15 sources. Let's see what it does. Now, so this isn't much of an escape valve as like, hey, you just start sourcing. So I can see sources here, see sources here. Not sure about the quality of them, but whatever. And I see they've like it's plus 21, The Guardian. Okay, there's lots of sources. So I'm going to pause it because it gets a little finicky at the end here. But something I noticed was it doesn't actually show the sources, right? It just gives me a thing. And I'm pretty sure I asked it to show sources. So now I'm switching gears here and I'm bringing back another prompt. And if I was in person or we could ask questions, I would ask you all, what prompt is this? So I'll give you a second right now and try and read this. And you tell me, or don't tell me, you tell yourself, you can tell me after if you knew, but what prompt format is this that I'm now telling it? So I do not see the sources. Please put them in a table as follows. All right. If any of you guessed output format prompt, you're dead right. And that is it. And then if you look here, okay, it gave it to me exactly like this. So I'm going to pause there for a second. And I want like one of the reasons I really like using, oh, I don't really do it. Let me see if I'll go back. So it won't do it. Okay. Anyways, so if you noticed, I had a bunch of I used the hashtag or whatever, the pound sign. I think it's called a pound sign. And that's how I got it to um, set up this table. There it is. Actually, I paused it. Okay, perfect. So pound para used in. So what para was it used in? pound title of article, so title of article, pound publisher, pound URL, right? So, if you're trying to source things or you're using this for research for your papers and stuff like that, you need to look at these sources later. Well, this is a great way for you to use the output format. That's why I brought it back to show you. But it's also really important if you're going to start moving into automation. So I'll give you an example. So let's say I have this info right here. I actually never automated it. I didn't even think about it. But let's say this specific info right here, you could easily, in a custom GPT, have a set of instructions where you give it this, or you give it your sources, or you're using that GPT for research. And part of his instructions are, when I get you to make a table like this, you're going to ask if I want it added to my Excel sheet. And then if you do yes, then you would automate a feature with Zapier using an action and a zap. And it would basically, with this format here, as long as you're matching the row in Excel, or sorry, Google Sheets is best, it can actually take it from right here while you're doing your research and put it right over there. And I do that with quite a few little things. I'm going to show you. I do it with some other ones, but I'm just going to show you some of the little ones. So when you start thinking about output formatting, it's also kind of an advanced way that you can start getting into how to take data and move it from ChatGPT to somewhere else. Okay. And then I think I called it out some more here. So, because it gave me that. So, so you used four sources in total. How many did I ask you to use? You asked for at least three sources per paragraph across 5 paragraphs, which would require a minimum of 15 sources. You're absolutely right to flag this. I only provided four distinct sources, each used in a single paragraph. That does not meet your blah, blah, blah. So it asked me what to do. And then, actually, you can't see the rest in there, but I said, no, it's okay. 15 sources is a little bit much for 5 paragraphs. Okay, so actually, I thought I had a summary slide there. I'm just going to go back really quickly. So just to summarize, we went through in-context learning and iterative refinement, went through writing persona, pattern, menu actions prompting, and escape valve. Okay. Um, sorry. Yeah, menu actions prompting and escape valve prompting. And then we also talked a little bit about output formatting, which was in the previous section. So we'll just slide over. I think this is going to go a little faster than I thought. It's the first time I've done it, but if we have some questions at the end, I thought we might discuss things in the middle. So maybe it'll be a bit of a shorter lecture, but that's okay. Okay. So now I'm going to show you custom GPTs I've built, a few tools I've built, whichever. And I'm not going to leave the Excel presentation. It's just too much with all my different screens and my interface. So I'm just going to kind of give you an overview right now, and then we'll go into a few. So not all of these are business related, right? Some of these are more like personal examples. So one of my personal favorites, my GPT calorie daily summary, which I used for a very long time without an automation. And now I have an automation, which I was away for a couple weeks in Manitoba. I wasn't using it because I wasn't like working out or tracking my calories. But what I use it for is to track calories eaten versus burnt and logs to a sheet. So Hook, it's connected via Zapier and updates your deficit daily. I'll show it to you later, but it's very simple. Like, it might sound a little crazy, but I eat a pretty limited like diet. I don't have a lot of ingredients, and I'm kind of like repetitive, and I mix things up. So, uh, a GPT that knows everything that I eat and that makes meals for me. And it shows me an example throughout the day with calories and protein and what my goals are if I want to be in a deficit. At the end of the day, I tell it, or throughout the day, if I made any deviations from the daily intake. And then the next morning from my Apple Watch or my on my phone, I look at my total calories burned. I tell how my calories burned, and then it just does a summary and it puts it in a sheet for me. Um, I don't really care about the summary and the sheet as much. That was more of just, could I do it? But I do like tracking that stuff with it. And it's very simple. I use voice. I've customized it. It always uses tables. And yeah, it's really handy for me. GPT SEO Audit Execution Assistant. This is part of a larger multi-agent SEO system. It walks me step by step through audits and implementation tasks. It's designed to pair with other GPTs like a critic agent, content formatter, and all of these different ones. And it's pretty cool. It works with the file naming assistant. It's manual. They're not connected because the file transfer is hard, but they work together. And the file naming assistant is it renames files and screenshots based on project conventions, but it helps with file hygiene and faster asset management. Let me give you an example. Let's say I do an SEO audit, like high level, not just like I plug it in and it gives me an output, like a really high level custom SEO audit. I know how to do it. I ran like had a team of about 20 something SEO agents for years, with thousands of accounts or members. So let's say I want to do a custom SEO audit, and then at the same time, I'm going to do a content strategy, and then I might actually help them implement work or give them some outputs. Just in that audit, just in that uh, whole flow for the SEO audit execution system, because you have to look at a lot of these outputs in mobile and desktop because they differ. For let's say GA4, I can have over 100 files, right? So that those 100 files are coming out into my downloads as all different file names. It depends on what the platform they're coming from is, how they name it. Even like SEMrush or Ahrefs or Screaming Frog, they don't even logically name all their files to like pair. So it's really crazy. And the GPT file naming assistant, basically, as I'm giving files to the audit execution assistant, that's doing piece by piece because it doesn't have memory. So they'll do the technical analysis first, and this analysis, and that, blah blah blah. Turns out to be 50 pages that goes through a critic agent, but don't worry about that part. But as I give it the files, then I give it to the file naming assistant and I upload it, and then it renames them and gives it to me in a download format. It's been acting a little weird lately. I kind of have to prompt it sometimes. I did have an automation to automatically send the files to a folder, but it was more headache than it was worth. I'll try and figure that out more. But yeah, so that is such a simple tool and it helps me so much. Brand Scrape, I don't use it all the time, but Brand Scrape basically is a GPT that I built. And exactly what it does is when you initiate a conversation with it, I think it says, who are we stalking today? And then I basically tell it what business it is and give it the URL. And then I open up you can right click on a website and go into the inspection tool, and it will tell you what to look for and how to get all the files to figure out basically the brand colors and build out like whatever like a brand guideline kind of, right? You pull all the images and little things like that. So let's say you want to make a custom pitch deck, you're going after a nice big sale and you want to customize it a little bit, or you have a client or somebody you want to give a proposal to and you want stuff to look custom for them, you can just use Brand Scrape and go over there and well, I mean, you can build one, but I can use Brand Scrape and go to the website and have it direct me on what to click on and what to get, and then then I can give those files to the file naming assistant if I want. But yeah, so those are those ones. Newsletter Architect builds multi-section email newsletters fast. I named it Newsletter Architect. I actually like maybe I should rename it, but it does have other functions, and its main function I'm using it for now is repurposing. Editing like large brochures that have a specific layout. Okay, think of like a massive like a condo developer with brochures for investors with 20, 30, 50 pages, whatever, and it has a layout, and we don't want to mess with the layout, but we want to change the content. Why we want to change it doesn't matter, like whatever. So how are we going to do that? Well, I use this PDF. I tell it to give me plus minus a certain percent content character function. And I go through each page one by one. I give it a screenshot. It also has the file PDF. And if I have any brand voice, any extra info, I can give it to it. And it goes in there and it gives me basically options. And I have it set to tell me what was the original character count that it replaced and what is the current one. And when I didn't do that function, it was always wrong. But when I told it like you need to, when I gave it like just be a percent, like 5% plus, 5% minus, but I didn't tell it to give me what the original character count was and what the new output character count was, it often was making errors. But once I told it to do the original character count, it's just like because it had to count the characters, I forced it to do it for an output. It did a better job. GPT personal and business expense. This one's very simple. I have a GPT. I can be like, hey, because I love the voice to text. I'll be like, oh, I just, spent $200 on XYZ for Think Circle from this vendor. And then it's like, okay, I know Think Circle is a business expense. It will be like, do you want me to add it? I hit yes, and it uses Zapier and it goes to the Google Sheet. The expenses in there, as long as I told it certain things. CPT about me bio generator. So this one writes fast bios fast. It has like everything I possibly could put in the back. Sometimes I forget I have it, but yeah, if you have a LinkedIn profile, you can scrape it. If you're on any websites, put it in there. Even like resumes, blah blah blah. Put all the data in there. Right. Remember when you build custom GPTs, there's a spot that you can put files in. Right. So you don't have to give it the file every time you're in a chat. It has the files as part of its training instructions. And then this one is not customer GPT design. That's actually funny. It's custom GPT design assistant. Why that's funny is I guess I misspelled it the first time, and I haven't cleared my cache recently. So even though like I updated it, its name is custom, it still shows as customer. And I guess when I gave ChatGPT the screenshot of my left side, it put it as customer. But that's custom GPT assistant, and this one is like possibly the most useful one I've ever done. It's also the only one missing colon, so or whatever. Yeah, I'll fix that after. But what it does is it helps me build new custom GPTs with guided steps. And we're actually going to go through these guided steps shortly. And I'm actually going to show you building one shortly. So that stuff's coming up, and I hope it's exciting for you so far. Uh, okay. So before we go into looking at it, let's talk custom GPTs for a second, okay? This is where we start thinking about prompting and moving to designing your own AI assistants, right? So we have to think of them as assistants, and we have to think of them as how we can set them up for success, right? So just like an intern I talked about before, I get an intern and it's like, oh, I don't have time for the intern. I'm like, yeah, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you think is good for my business? I don't know. Maybe try that, this, that, this, that. One, the intern's not going to be motivated. Two, the intern doesn't have clear just direction. How are they going to do a good job? Right. So, instruction logic is very important. Action usage and rules and setup for actions and automation. Rules are so important. Um, like it's got to be one of the most important things. Um, so then there's the demo set. Let me actually, yeah, sorry. I'm going to come back to this menu each time. Okay, so instructions make a custom GPT. So you can do them all types of different ways. This is the back end of one of my GPTs. I don't know which one it is. Okay, it's the calorie one, right? So you're going to help me track my calorie daily summary. Whenever I give you a daily summary, you will use the add calorie daily summary action. Okay, that is a action that is by Zapier. Um, and you can see all of it in here. And it's like, before you had to be a programmer or understand language. Now you just have to sit back and think about it. This one here is very simple, and it's one of the first ones I built. And you can actually see it doesn't have act as or any of that. And it also only has 4 steps. The reason why I use this one is because I could actually get all the instructions in one screenshot for you. And I think it's one of my only ones, if not my only one I can, because as I've been building these, I've realized that I need more instructions and I need to make them clearer. But that is what makes custom GPT, basically, our instructions. Okay. So now we'll talk about, I'm going to demo a setup. I'm going to step by step walk through with the GPT guide. We'll define a purpose, a goal, inputs, outputs, and success. Outputs is structured, ready to build spec. Uh, and oddly, I put the hyphen in that 7 steps earlier, and it's not there. Must be a cache thing. Okay, so it's not a video. It is a video. Okay, so just to preface this quickly, I have a custom GPT, and its sole goal is to help me build custom GPTs. Okay. I've come up with a new custom GPT idea, and it's really good. So I used to have an email, and I used to email ideas to myself, and it was like all these ideas because I'm daydreaming, I'm doing this, that, whatever it is. I come up with some harebrained idea, who knows, whatever. Or it's an idea on something I'm working on. So when I was in university, I loved starting all my projects early, not because I wanted to get them done early, because I wanted my brain to be able to think about them like actively. So like I'm working out, I'm walking my dog, I'm working on a different project, and I'm like, I have an aha moment about something, a different project, but because I started to research or this or that. So for idea capture GPT, it's very simple. It is gonna like something I can just talk to and say, hey, this is my idea, blah, 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 blah. And then I like talking a lot, and I hit this and boom, and it'll use Zapier and it'll put it in a sheet. And then I'll have all these ideas in a sheet. Okay. So let's watch this video. Now, this helped me design a custom GPT from scratch. This is the conversation. I should have done a back end screenshot of like the whole thing, but like there's a few different areas, and I might add that in. But there's a conversation starter. This is my conversation starter. So when I hit it, it comes here. And this is what it says. So I've trained it to say this. So great, let's get started designing your custom GPT. We'll go step by step using a clear framework. This is the 7-step framework. I'm sure there's all types of other ones, but this is the one I use. Step 1, purpose, blah, blah, blah. So what is the primary purpose of your custom GPT? Think about what problem it will solve, who it will serve, or what specific task it will assist with. Okay, here we go. The purpose is to take idea notes from written or voice inputs, then confirm the idea, has all the required info to be stored in a Google Sheet. It should be. Okay, I think I'm about to show it the input format. Oh, okay, so the idea name, date, overview, tag, then company or client, right? For tag. So I'm basically envisioning what the Google Sheet row is going to look like. And so it's got to take this data, it's got to put it over there. So it's got to fit. Okay. So that's what that is. Let's see what it says here. I guarantee I'm going to get kicked out. Okay. Fair. Perfect. That's a clear and practical purpose. Here's a refined vision. Okay. So now it's going to confirm, right? Boom, 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 boom. It's trained to do this. Now let's move to step 2, or it's instructed to do this. What are your main goals or outcomes you want with this this GPT to achieve? Okay, boom. Like it hit it dead on, right? You hit it dead on. It's a very simple thing I want, so it's not very complex. Some of my instructions are very long, and I have to keep going in and refining them. That's another thing too. When you are building one and you come out with them, like it's almost like an iterative approach. You will have to refine your instructions at times. Okay, so you hit it dead on. So excellent. Here is how we'll frame your goals. Goals. Bing, 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 bing. Okay, looks like goals to me. Now, step 3, key inputs. Okay. So this is actually important here. What type of inputs should your GPT accept? You mentioned written and voice. Do you expect raw text like a brain dump, bullet points, audio recordings, transcribed voice, anything else? Let me know the input formats you expect and if there's a preferred way you'd like the GPT to be handled. That was a really good question. I actually didn't really fully think of that. Well, I might have, but the ideas should not be very large. The key info should be able to bring back the idea, bring back the bring the idea back to the user's mind. You do not want a massive meandering brain dump. Example, I want Think Circle Mothership. Mothership's like a website, to have a video on a homepage with static AI, spinning logo, menu slide up takeover. Okay, I'm just describing like kind of a homepage possibility here. Okay, got it. Short, punchy ideas that act as effective memory joggers, not long-wielded notes. That's super helpful. Here's how we'll define it. Okay, key inputs. Right, it's walking it through. Right, there's, yeah, it's once you build this GPT is the one that will build the rest of the GPTs. I used to do them on my own. And I don't know why I didn't think of this one first. Okay, step four. Now, now let's go to step four, expected outcomes. What should the GPT give back to the user before it stores the idea? Boom, boom, boom. Okay, now I'm giving it the format. I am very particular about the format. I already told it. I don't know why I just paused so long here while I was scrolling. Is it stuck? Sorry. Okay. So, quick basic info that shows what the role will look like as such. I'm really just doing this fast for you guys. Well, I made this one, but I will use it. But I just did this one to show you guys. Idea name, date, overview, tag. Okay, that's what I started with earlier. I think it was what I started with earlier. Yeah. Okay. So expected outcomes. Boom, boom. Okay. I know this is a bit of a longer example. So now step five. Okay, required automations. So I actually went back and I looked and I realized it didn't do a specific automation I wanted it to do because it should mention action in Zapier. So it knows the automation's in there, but it didn't do something. So I'm actually going to go back and refine this GPT. And I'm going to say, whenever someone says an automation, your job is not done until you have the action command from Zapier or wherever the data is coming, being transferred with, which might be a bit advanced for you all right now. Some of you probably not, but anyways, long story short, I've realized after watching the video earlier and timing it that it didn't do everything, so I'll fix that one. But I'm telling it, yes, proceed. Okay. Now it's giving me a confirmed list for the required features and automations. Okay. Now it's going to go to special considerations. So for special considerations, I sometimes will say like, hey, like it shouldn't do this, it shouldn't do that. Let's see right here. So it asked me some stuff. No, for now, this is a simple brain dump. But a future automation. Oh, that's why it didn't do the automation. I didn't remember the instructions. Okay. But a future automation would be to have an agent. Oh, no, it is. Create a brief via GDocs on the idea and drop in specific. I didn't even know what I was thinking of there. It knows more than I do. I think I was doing this pretty late. Okay. So if I can just go back to seven. Oh, there's the required. Okay. Special considerations. Okay, perfect. So there's step seven. Ah, sorry about that. Anyways, long story short, there's step seven, which is expected outcomes. Okay. So success criteria, blah, blah, blah. There it is. Ideas captured and stored. Okay. So now here's the magic. I tell it to build me the actual thing. So now you're going to see. And I actually, you know what? I told it absolutely, I wanted an act as statement in it. So I said, give me an act as statement. Okay. It gave me the act as statement. I said this after, actually. I might put that in there too. I said, okay, now make it all. So this is all the instructions. You can just copy and paste this. You can format it all if you want. But there's the backend instructions to make idea capture GPT do what you want it to do. All right. So that is how you can kind of build a GPT. Oh, sorry, I didn't actually mean to do that. Oops. Second. Sorry about that. Okay. Sorry, actually screens over here. Enter full screen. Okay. So that was idea capture. Now we're gonna go talk about the 7 steps, okay? Um, and we'll just get right in there. 7 steps. Okay. So we just looked at them, but here's a quick overview. If you want to build your own GPT, you can use these 7 steps. You can find some other ones. But the first is a purpose. What is this GPT for? What task or problem does it solve? Okay. Goals. What should success look like? What outcomes should it achieve? Key inputs. What will the user provide? Text selections, voice notes, or data? Expected outputs. What will the GPT return? A summary, a file name, a structured data draft. Required features and automations. What tools, logic, or integrations are needed? Zapier, Sheets. Special considerations, any limits, edge cases, or things to watch out for. And success criteria. How do we know if it's working? What does it? What proves it's helpful? I could add another step. Actually, I just do it on my own. But when you make a custom GPT, there's a bunch of boxes at the bottom, and one's for DAL image generation. One is code interpreter. So if you want to make a file export one, make sure you have code interpreter clicked. Another one is Canvas, which if you like it, it's that screen that I don't know, it kind of leaves the window and has a different window and it updates it in that window and it has a little chat here. I don't know if you know what that is. And then I had something else I can't remember right now, but it'll come to me in a second. So I could add at the bottom like, hey, what features should it have? And oh, the other one is so it has internet access. I can't remember what it's called, but it's so it can go online. You can turn that function off. So that's the 7-step GPT builder framework that I use. Okay. So we're gonna get to Zapier GPT automations. Um, I'm just gonna quickly tell you there's other things other than Zapier, but I use Zapier. Zapier is a no-code automation platform that allows different apps and services to talk to each other. It connects tools, Google Sheets, Slack, Gmail, custom apps, blah, blah, blah. The automations are called zaps, and each zap is made up of a trigger. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple to use. Once you make a custom GPT and you like start adding Zapier or an automation, it's like things are happening now. One I'm going to build, just haven't had time, and it's going to be just to give you an example, in my Gmail. Okay, let's say I have tags, folders, tags, whatever they call them in there. They're called tags. So I'm going to have a draft needs reply. So as I'm going through the email, I'm like, Reddit, don't care. Reddit, don't care. Ooh, unsubscribe. Okay. Oh, this needs a reply. And then bang, I put it in that folder or that tag, draft needs reply. And then I'm like, oh, there's one I answer my friend. Yes, something, blah, blah, blah. Oh, draft needs reply, draft needs reply. I have a bunch. By the time I'm done going through my emails, I can go into that folder, draft needs a reply, draft needs a reply. And through a custom GPT and Zapier integration, ChatGPT will have already drafted those emails for me. Okay. It doesn't mean they're ready to send. Humans should still be in the loop. But that's a cool example. Also, when I show you my next my whole modular system, um, I haven't done it yet because my agents aren't fully all refined. Like I still want to tweak them for a bit, and I haven't had the time to just really kind of make sure that this whole flow is working properly. But eventually, these agents will be interacting with each other because when you do a trigger in Zapier, you can hook up like different functions. So add row here, draft this, but you can also have conversations. So you can set up a conversation between two agents that you've developed in your out of your GPTs. And you can have the rules for them like, hey, when you're done this output, you give it to the critic agent. And then the critic agent, it will look at it. And then once the critic agent, it's approved for it, the critic agent will then put it in the Google Doc in its respective section, and then it will send it to the content agent and the social agent and blah, blah, blah. And then they'll create their parts and then they'll bring it back to the critic agent because everything goes through the critic agent. I know that sounds crazy. I'm going to show you the workflow right now, right? But Zapier and different things like that make all this possible. Okay. Okay, so there's some automation examples of mine. Pretty sure I talked about those before. So calorie daily summary, GPT file naming, I rename screenshots and it exports them. I actually had to stop with the exporting part because something was happening. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. It was exporting, but the data wasn't going with it. So something like it was going into the Google Drive folder and a file was there, whether if it's a Excel or a PDF or whatever it was. But the data was the file name. So I got to come back to that, but you can do that. The expense tracker and the drafts need replies. So those are some of the automations. Zapier in action. Okay, so here you go. If anyone wants to know what I eat on a regular basis, that's it. I pre-bake all my yeah. So that's what I eat. Okay, so what you're looking at here is, let's stop here. All right. I try and like eat around 220 to 240 grams of protein a day. And I try to stay around 1,800 to 2,000 calorie intake. And I try to burn minimum 500. So I try to always be in a deficit. So if you see right here, I said, okay, I ate exactly what you outlined and I burned 2,650 calories. I talked to actions.zapier.com. So it is actually, it knows. I just said this and it knows that it needs to start talking to Zapier. Okay, because there's some data there. And I actually expanded it so you can see it talking to Zapier in here. Okay. Log final calorie for April 7th, date, boom, boom, boom. Okay, it did it. That was it. All right. And then I think I was going to show you the Excel it went into, but it was just too difficult with the like time player screen recording I was doing. But trust me, it went there. And then I don't know if you saw that. I think something bad happens here. I think it freezes. Then I said, oh, you know what? I actually made a mistake. I made a mistake. I burned 2,750 calories. And then it went, oh, there you go. You can see the Zapier. Now it asked, the first time it didn't ask, but that time it asked me. I think asked the first time. So now it's talking to the connector. Okay. And then it's sending over the info. So, but here's the thing. I'm not really, I don't really care. That doesn't happen often. But I did realize it just made a new row. So like April 7's in there twice. So I don't know if there's like a function I can make to delete row because it shouldn't make the row twice with the same date. But I don't really care because it's a simple tool, but just kind of showing you like how this all works here. Okay. I'm making a new flow chart. I have a flow chart. I just didn't want to use it for this because it's really ugly. So I thought I would do ugly's not the word. It's very boring. So I thought I'd maybe put together a flow chart that was a little match the presentation a little better. And it's actually the agent system is actually a little bit bigger now. There's a few agents that aren't shown in here, but I'm going to show you. So there you go. This is a 7 agent plus 1 human workflow. I, yours truly, am the human in the loop. Okay. Acts on prompts from other agents. So some of them tell me what to do to complete manual tasks like file reviews, data collection, or approvals, oversees the system, handles edge cases, and ensures smooth execution when automation hits its limits, which happens often. So this is like the workhorse. Yeah, the execution agent guides me through SEO tools. Example, SEMrush, Google Search Console, Google GA4, which is Google Analytics, to extract key data for each section of the audit. It feeds the info piece by piece to the critic agent. Then it feeds the info that it guides me to give it files, and then it the files have to go to the naming agent, and then the naming agent actually. So when I make 100 plus files, believe it or not, like there will actually be a document formatted, and then all of the other agents for the project will know that those files are there. Because by the time the execution agent gives the whole report or gives everything to the critic agent has a 50, 60 page report. This execution agent doesn't even remember that stuff it went through already, right? It's just too much. And then this agent here, it's only meant to write. So let's look at what it does. Or it's quality control. So central quality control agent. All outputs from the execution agent are reviewed here first before being shared across the system. It flags weak insights, improves structure, returns stronger, cleaner copy. Any content generated by other agents, content, social, data visualization, schema. Schema is code that you can build. It's how you can, it's like on-site SEO, like in the back end, how you can make it so bots and even AI bots can read a site better. Is sent back to the critic agent for review before final use, creating a two-way loop. So I mean, it's really hard to explain, but it's very simple. This one tells me what to do and what data to give it. Piece by piece, because it's so much, it gives this one data, the info, and this one gives me the final sections, and I can put it in a Google Doc or it can export it for me. Then I have a full report. This one gives the files here. It renames them. I have to manually put them in and actually download them, and then I put them in a big file. I make a screenshot of it or whatever, and all of these agents know that that is there. So when they get this big report and they're working on things, that they're like, oh, you know what, it'd be great for me to know the traffic insights, the keyword positioning, and what the competitive this, like all the different things. No problem. I'll give it the file because it asks me. Maybe I'll automate it. So yeah, that's a 7 agent human workflow, and there's actually more agents because I need a couple more, and they're being developed right now. And that's kind of how I operate, and this is just one example. I mean, okay, file name agent. I don't even remember what this one is. Oh, look at that. Okay, so there we go. The file name agent. I don't know if you saw that. It was really quick. I don't know if this is the best recording. I think I had problems with this. So I think it was making errors here. So I just uploaded a bunch of files, and it's supposed to. I give it 10 files max at a time. Those are all the files. It's searching its knowledge, it's analyzing, and then I got to go in and fix it because usually it just like pumps the files out right away, but for some reason, it only gave me two back instead of 10. Yeah, it gave me those two. Oh, I know why actually. They were duplicate names. I figured it out because then down here, I'm just going to fast forward. It was kind of being a little slow. So now you can see here, it renamed them. And like these files were not like proper. But yeah, this is why I gave the two in the beginning. And I thought I gave it 10, but it's 12. I think maybe I dropped two by accident. Anyways, you can see here now, like none of these files would be named this. So like, it's got the what it is it mobile? Is it desktop? The company is in each one. The city, if it needs to be, or the search near me, or high volume, easy to rank. And yeah, it has the logic in there to name these properly. So even I scanning through 100 files broken up between desktop and mobile in two different folders, I can understand what I'm looking for. And yeah, that's my file naming agent. 7 agent system summary. Nimble by design. Each agent is modular. You can swap out one. You can swap one in or out based on your workflow. No need to rebuild the whole thing. You can tweak them. You'll always be tweaking them. It's like building a team. Each GPT has a role, a function, and a handoff point. Just like a good team. You don't need one genius GPT, just the right mix of specialists. When you try and get a chat to do too many things, it's just not good at it. It's like sacrificing. When I was actually in CRS in the Victoria building. I don't know if the school was built yet, actually. But I had Communications 279. I don't know if it's still a course. And we had to do informational interview. And I got one with Sam Heaps, one of the founders of Steam Whistle Brewery there at the Roundhouse. I don't even know if the Roundhouse is even there anymore. Long story short, their slogan was do one thing really, really well. That's kind of the way I look at my GPTs. Do one thing really, really well. Built-in checks and balances. Critic agent ensures nothing moves forward unchecked. Every agent output is reviewed and refined automatically or by a human in a loop. That is me. Manual or automated, the system works with or without Zapier. You can do it all manually and scale later or automate early for speed, whatever you like. That's my 7 agent system. I wrap up here. Okay, now this is super cool. This is kind of how you can get started. Like we've covered a lot. We've covered prompt strategies, multi-agent systems, how custom GPTs are shaping workflows. And I want to leave you with something concrete, a 3-part playbook that you might be able to start building your own system if you haven't, right? And it's really simple. Like this is the funnest and the simplest and maybe the most important thing I'm going to tell you right now is reverse engineer, okay? So grab any past chat where the output was solid. Even if it took a bunch of tweaks to get there, actually even better. Right? Then ask ChatGPT, summarize this full conversation into a reusable prompt. That becomes the blueprint you refine or reuse. Okay. You can even actually take the whole thing if you want. right? Just copy and paste all the inputs, outputs, inputs, outputs. And if you want, you can save that in Google Doc or Notion, or you could have it reverse engineer it and put it into a prompt that you can save later in Google Docs or Notion instead of trying to find that chat somewhere in your chats or in your folders, right? But I mean, there's all types of ways to organize. Or you could even take that refined prompt and structure it into something more repeatable. So when you would do that is when you find that you're doing the same thing over again all the time, but for different companies or different things, you just have to keep doing this thing. And it took you, a bunch of iterations to get to this chat to do it. But eventually that chat's going to fill up. It's going to get slow. You've all experienced that. So you build a custom GPT, it's not going to be slow every time you open it up. If you're opening it from the GPT section, not the conversation, it's going to be fast and it can have custom instructions in the back end. And if you want to, you can customize it for a specific client. So I'd say you build one and its function is X, Y, Z, whatever it is, and it's for company ABC. Well, and you have data for ABC, a bunch of things, files. You open your new custom GPT that you built for it. You name it that, so it's like that in your chat. And then you upload the files into the back end that are specific to that client. And now, you can use it specifically for that. And then save great prompts or assets, save them in Notion, Google Docs, or inside a custom GPT. There's other things, flow prompt, all types of stuff. Keep both the exact prompt and the best output. Over time, you're not just prompting, you're building a live